Well, hi, everybody. This is Frank Gray. I am the owner of Abbey Realty based in Houston, Texas, and the creator of the Aspire real estate sales system used by productive agents all over the world. Today, we're going to take a look at one of the most important topics for agents to build a productive sales business and do it quickly. We're going to be talking about online buyer conversion. I've subtitled this class, Offering Help to Those Who Ask for It. That's a mindset issue that I want to address right up front, and then I'll come back to it over and over again. One of the reasons that agents hesitate to follow up on online leads, and the reason they complain about them so vociferously, is that the vast majority of online buyer leads never turn into a transaction for the agent who receives that particular lead. You've probably heard the statistics that only 1% of online leads convert to a transaction nationally. However, there are many agents who, using proactive strategies such as I'll be teaching today, have driven that conversion rate up to 3%, 5%. I have one agent in my office right now converting online buyer leads at better than a 10% conversion rate. Absolutely world-class levels. But here's what you have to understand. Even at a 10% conversion rate, fully 90% of the leads that you're generating online aren't going to turn into a closed transaction for you. That's why many agents become discouraged when trying to convert these leads. The response they get from 90% plus is, "Who are you and why are you calling me?" It's very discouraging to agents, and so they develop bad attitudes about Zillow leads, Trulia, Realtor.com, OpCity, or Facebook leads that they may generate through their own efforts. Here's what you have to understand. It's the mindset again. If you're going to behave in a productive way with online leads, these are people who have asked for help. Keep in mind, they sat down at a computer and entered their name and their email address at a minimum, perhaps even their telephone number, and revealed other personal information about their home buying aspirations to a computer screen. Who in the world would do that unless they truly needed real estate help? So the mindset that you have to develop is, these people need help, and I'm a helper. That's what I do. I'm in a helping profession. And sometimes we have to remind the people that we're contacting that it was they who initiated the request for a conversation. So get that in your head right up front. We're not intruding on people's lives. We're not an interruption. We're not a used car salesperson. We're not a telemarketer. We are helpers who are responding to people who raised their hand online saying, "I need real estate help." That's what online buyer conversion is all about, helping people who've asked for it. Before we get into the details of this strategy for converting online buyer leads, let's pause for a reality check. The majority of home buyers and sellers start their agent search process online. Just like they search for homes online, they search for agents online. Yet, according to one of our online real estate lead generator partners, OpCity, on average, agents follow up on online leads 1.6 times before giving up. They'll call or email or text 1 to 2 times. And if they don't get a response, they're out of the game. Now, why don't they get a response? Part of it is the second bullet point on the screen. Agents take an average of 38 hours before responding to an online lead. Can you imagine that? Somebody gets up the courage to enter their name and email address on an online website, and it takes somebody else a day and a half to get back to them. That is completely unacceptable in today's online world. 77% of online leads are never called at all. It's not a day and a half. It's absolutely never. Now, here's what you have to understand. This delay in response is what is sabotaging agent conversion efforts. If a lead is not contacted within 5 minutes, the probability of closing that lead drops 400%. And again, this is according to a company who makes their living generating and converting online buyer leads. So it's important that you respond. It's important that you respond quickly. And that quickly needs to be within the 5-minute window. Now, we're going to see even waiting 5 minutes is way too long if you want to convert at the highest levels. But I want you to get this in your mind right up front, because so many agents have a bad attitude about online buyer leads. It's not so much that the leads are bad, it's that the agent's business practices, their follow-up practices are bad. 2 goals of online lead conversion. First of all, provoke a response. Second, meet face-to-face. When I use the word conversion, I am specifically talking about the process of attracting a buyer into a working relationship with you. As you are keenly aware, everybody knows 8 to 10 people with a real estate license. In Texas, we like to say everybody has a driver's license, a hunting license, and yes, a real estate license. Everybody knows multiple people whom they could use when they have a real estate need. What can you do to separate yourself from the herd of other agents that they know, and possibly many other agents who've been contacting them because they registered on multiple websites, raising their hand with their real estate need, or they registered on a website that takes that lead and sells it to multiple agents? So now all of a sudden you're competing not just with every agent within their experience and sphere of influence, but every agent who's been alerted to the fact that this person has a real estate need. Well, the first thing that you have to do to attract them into a relationship with you is get them interacting with you. If they don't respond to you in some way, you don't even have an at-bat. You don't even get a chance. And that's why the first goal of online lead conversion is to provoke a response. And yes, I realize the word provoke is a little bit of an aggressive word. I could have used something softer like encourage a response or invite a response. But as you're going to see as we get into the strategy, provoke is the appropriate word. Because although we are going to be inviting and encouraging a response, we're going to be ramping up our communication efforts to the point, if necessary, we're going to be provoking a response, which might be good, might be bad, and yes, might be ugly. But we would prefer ugly to nothing at all. Secondly, meet face to face, as we'll see in just a moment statistically. The agent who gets face-to-face wins. And that's the goal of all of our interactions. As we're provoking a response, whether on the phone or online or through text messages, the goal of those interactions is to get face-to-face. Because if we can do that, we have the opportunity to build rapport, to build trust, relationship, and gain the loyalty of that buyer prospect. And again, that's what conversion is all about, attracting them into a working relationship with us. So everything we're going to talk about in this class focuses on provoking a response and meeting face-to-face. Core beliefs of online buyer conversion. In every Aspire class, we start with core beliefs. That's simply because all behavior is an afterthought. And by that I mean everything that people act out physically was first created in their mind. You think about something and then you do it. Why do a very few percentage of agents produce at the highest levels in our industry and others seem to really struggle? If you've attended my Aspire Business Planning Workshop, you've heard me share the statistic. This is the latest information from NAR that agents with 10 plus years of experience in this business average only $42,500 a year in income. By the time you take out broker split, taxes, business expenses, literally the average experienced agent falls below the federal poverty guideline and qualifies for food stamps. Why in the world is that the case? What are these agents doing to produce at pathetic levels while some agents perform at very high levels, funding any life they can imagine? Quite simply, It's because productive agents behave differently. We all have the same limitation of 24 hours in a day, but highly productive people use those 24 hours differently, particularly the subset of hours within the 24 that they devote to their career. That might be 8 hours a day, 10, 12 hours a day, but what they do within that space is different than what unproductive agents do. Now, how do they maintain that level of productivity over time? Very simply, they have productive beliefs. All productive behavior starts in the mind. Productive agents believe different things than unproductive agents do. And that's why in this Aspire series, we always start by exposing unproductive beliefs and presenting, encouraging, even provoking productive beliefs that will drive productive behavior. So here we go. Brace yourself for this one. Amateurs generate leads. I realize that's a strong statement. Some of you are probably offended by it already because we've been taught that the business that we're in is generating leads. And it's absolutely true. If we don't have leads, we don't have a real estate sales business. It might have been softer if I had worded that new agents generate leads. Beginning agents generate leads. When you're just launching, you generate leads. However, what you want to move to as your career progresses is a focus on converting leads. Professionals convert leads. Amateurs generate them. You're going to discover, and this is especially true in the area of online buyer leads, that you can easily generate massive amounts of leads. And when I say you, what I mean is other people on, on your behalf. Lead generation is one of those aspects of our business that is very easily outsourced. And that's what we want to do because the real money, the big money in this business is converting leads, getting face-to-face with buyers and sellers. It's not creating Facebook ads. It's not even getting on the phone and calling expireds or FSBOs attempting to generate leads. We're far better if we outsource those activities and we hone our skills on converting buyers and sellers. The money is in lead conversion, not lead generation. And get this, the quick money is in buyer lead conversion. Yes, when you take my seller conversion class, you're going to hear that there is leverage in the listing and that the highest producing agents focus on getting listings. But sometimes you got bills to pay. You've got a mortgage payment that's due. You need quick money, now money. And that money is in buyers. You get a buyer today, you can be getting a check in 30 days. Find them a home this weekend, close within 30 days. You get a seller, you're likely going to have some time getting that property ready to go on market, getting the landscaping refreshed, getting the photographs, getting everything done, the handyman work completed before you go on market. Then 30 days, 45 days on market, another 30 to 45 days to closing. It could be 3, 4, 5 months with a listing before you're getting a paycheck. Again, if you're in the business long term, that's not a bad investment of your time. But if you need money now, and most of us do, buyer conversion is where it's at. Masters of buyer lead conversion hone their response skills to, quote, prospect-initiated signs of interest. Pause and think about that just for a moment. Masters of the real estate game and agents who focus on buyer lead conversion, masters of that aspect of the real estate game, hone their response skills to prospect-initiated signs of interest. What is that? That's what happens when a buyer raises their hand online on a website and submits their information saying that they have a real estate need. And it might be to need to know how many bedrooms that home has, or what the price of that home is, or what school district it's in. Or maybe they're asking for an agent. Maybe they're inquiring about the value of their own home. But they have initiated the conversation. Remember the subtitle of this class that we worked on in the very first minute? Buyer lead conversion is all about helping those who have asked for help, who have indicated that they have a real estate need that they would appreciate professional assistance with. Buyers buy in half the time they tell us they're going to buy. Again, this is a core belief. This is a mindset issue. You have to have an internal belief that whatever that buyer tells you, you need to cut that time frame in half. If they say that we're thinking about buying a year from now, internally, you're already doing the math. That's 6 months. If they say they want to buy in 6 months, you know it's really 3 months. This is not just my opinion. It was actually Zillow who has come up with these numbers. Again, a company that makes their living converting online buyer leads. They generate the leads and sell them to agents who convert them. But if the agents don't convert, Zillow doesn't make any money. Ultimately, they're out of business. So they study this game, and they have discovered that whatever buyers say, the truth is it's going to be half the time. And we can understand that psychologically. They don't know you yet, and they don't want pressure coming their way to buy on a short time frame. And so they're going to tell you it's a little bit longer time frame than it really is, just so that you don't come on too strong to them. That's all it is. But once you have gotten face to face, they know you, like you, trust you, then they will be more forthcoming about their real needs and actual time frame. Finally, speed wins. This is going to be the recurring theme in online buyer conversion. The first agent to make contact is likely going to be the first agent to get face-to-face. The first agent to get face-to-face is likely going to be the agent who's there at the closing table. It's not enough to wait 38 hours, or as 77% of agents do, never contact at all. It's really too late. 5 minutes is too late. And I'm going to share with you some very specific strategies for being able to master the speed to lead process, even if you're in a meeting, even if you're at a closing, even if you're with another prospect showing homes, and you want to give your full attention and respect to that person who is with you. There's a specific strategy that you can employ that doesn't offend them, but allows you to meet the speed to lead requirement of converting online buyer leads at the highest levels. Just wait for it. 3 components of online lead conversion. This is the essence of our strategy. 1, speed to lead. We're going to go deeper on that. We started with it. We've already hit on it a couple times. We're going to go deeper still. Secondly, fire hose. Just wait for it. And then finally, perpetual drip. These 3 elements, when combined and used consistently in a cohesive strategy, will enable you to convert at a multiple of the national 1% average. It'll drive you from 1 to 3 to 5 to possibly 10% plus if you implement all 3 strategies, which enable you to capture these buyers at every phase of their online buying search process. So here we go, speed to lead. 2 principles to keep in mind: minutes count and modality rules. First of all, what does modality mean? It simply means the mode that the buyer is in when they create the online lead. Now just put yourself in that computer chair for a moment. You're a buyer prospect. You're searching for homes or agents online. What mode are you in? You are in property search mode. You are in real estate mode. If somebody calls you in response to your prospect-initiated sign of interest while you're at your computer, do you consider that an interruption? Absolutely not. You would consider it to be world-class service to be able to respond that quickly. So you want to catch them in those first few minutes after they create the online lead while they're still in property search mode. Think about what happens 5 minutes after they create that lead. They've been searching online for quite a while. They finally go ahead and register. Now what? Well, they may not even be on their computer any longer. But if they are, they're probably watching funny cat videos on YouTube or something completely different. You call them up now, you're no longer a professional offering assistance. You are an interruption. What mode they're in matters. If you wait 30 minutes, where are they now? Certainly not on the computer. probably in the bus line picking up kids at school, maybe at the grocery store trying to balance all their celery and the toilet paper and push the cart and take care of the kid all at the same time. Again, you're an interruption. So modality rules, catch them while they're in real estate mode. And how do you do that? By responding immediately. Minutes count. How do we know that? According to a study by Velocify, responding in the first minute, not 5 minutes, the first minute, increases conversion by 391%. Again, modality rules. Catch them while they're in that mode. Waiting just 1 minute more leads to a drop of 120% in the conversion rate. Are you getting the picture? I've made the point over and over, but I'm doing it very purposefully. Because if you complete this whole class and the only thing you remember is that when that lead comes in, you have to drop everything else and respond immediately, not a minute later, 2 minutes later, 5 minutes later, but right in that moment, you're going to see your conversion rate increase dramatically. And guess what? That means you're going to be at the closing table more often. It means your income is going to rise dramatically. The lifestyle that you're able to provide to your family is going to improve dramatically. The goals and dreams that you had for your real estate career when you got that license and envisioned what the future could look like, all that can happen if you'll adopt this core belief that speed wins and you respond immediately to an online buyer lead. So how do you contact them? You call. Absolutely. And I know a lot of agents would prefer to text or send an email, and there's a place for that. We're going to get into it. But there's absolutely no substitute for calling because, again, these people don't know you. They do know many other real estate agents. How are you going to attract them into a working relationship with you? You have to get in conversation. And that's what you can do on a phone call. It'd be better to get face-to-face, but you only get to face-to-face through the phone. So call first, and then implement all your other contact modes, i.e. email and text messaging. Here's why it pays to be first. According to NAR, 64% of buyers and 66% of sellers work with the agent they talk to first. Not text first, not email first, but talk to first. If you can be first to talk, you're going to be first face to face, at least if you use a productive talk strategy, which we'll go through, and then you're the one at the closing table. It pays to be first. Now, what if they don't answer? And this is typical. If you've worked online buyer leads, you know that this is real life. You call them up, you're likely going to get voicemail. There are many real estate coaches who've got great answers for very creative and compelling voicemail messages that you can leave. But I'm going to recommend that you don't spend your time memorizing any of those scripts, but in fact, you just hang up. Don't leave a voicemail, hang up. Some of you are going to hate me for saying this, but bear with me. Again, I'm just trying to coach you to higher levels of productivity. After you hang up, you call back again. If they don't answer, you hang up and call back again. You do it 3 times in a row. Now, you know from your own experience what happens when you get a call. They don't leave a voicemail, they call right back. And if you don't answer, they call right back. The vast majority of the time, you are going to answer that phone. What's going through your mind? There must be some kind of emergency. Somebody's trying to reach me. Maybe my kid broke their leg at school. We don't know what it is, so we're going to answer that phone. Remember, the first goal of buyer online conversion is to provoke a response. Now, if they answer on the first time, we're being soft, we're being friendly. Fire hose is a provoking strategy. It's trying to break through to somebody who has put up a wall against you because they don't recognize your phone number and they may not answer calls from people that are not already in their contact list. So we're trying to provoke. We are being a little bit aggressive here. But again, we've got a family to support. We have dreams to fund. And this is what separates amateurs from professionals. Now, what do we say when they answer the phone? Well, if they answer on the first call, then we simply introduce ourselves. Hi, this is Frank Gray with Abbey Realty. I received your online inquiry regarding how many bedrooms at 123 Elm Street or what the price is of the certain home. You acknowledge their need, and then you inform them that you do have the information that they're seeking. What if they answer on the second or the third fire hose call and perhaps they're a little irritated? Well, I'm going to suggest you start this way. Hey, I sure didn't mean to bother you. I just know that you expressed a desire for help, and I have a passion for helping people, and laugh a little bit. What you're going to learn in this business is that our clients and even prospects who haven't met us face to face, they will take their emotional cues from us. If we're uptight, worried, concerned that we might be offending or interrupting, they're going to pick up on that. And it's just going to feed their anger at basically allowing you to win by getting them to answer the phone. So you want to be very soft and even a little bit jovial in this conversation. Laugh a little bit. Let them know you didn't mean to offend, but you're a professional and you help people, and they indicated that they have a need for help. Continuing. I'm sorry if I tried a little too hard in your case, but I think I have the information you asked about. That home at 123 Elm Street actually has 3 bedrooms. Now, once you're in dialogue with them, you've got them on the phone, you've maybe acknowledged some anxiety or irritation on their part, you've introduced yourself and assured them that you have the information they need. You want to keep them in dialogue. And there's a specific process for doing that. Some people call this the answer question process. So after providing the information that they asked about, you're going to follow up with a question. So for example, well, that home on Elm Street has 3 bedrooms. Is that what you were looking for? It's an open-ended response where they're going to tell you, well, absolutely. You know, we've got 2 kids. We want each of them to have their own bedroom. So now you've got them in the early stages of rapport. If they say, no, 3 bedrooms is not what we're looking for, then ask them to clarify their needs. Would a 4-bedroom home be better for you, or do you need something smaller? So once you get them talking about what they need, assure them that there are many homes on the market that meet their needs and you have access to all of them. And then move to the buyer needs survey. I'll be sharing that with you in just a moment. Now, what if they say yes? Back to the original question. That home has 3 bedrooms. Is that what you're looking for? They say, yeah, that's exactly what we need. Then you say, great. I'll be happy to schedule a showing for you at your convenience. But, this is the important part, I may have some other homes that you'd be interested in as well. Would you mind sharing with me what else is important to you about your next home? Keep in mind, 3 bedrooms is not the only thing they're looking for. That might have been the immediate question on their mind. But they may have concerns about school district, about the size of the yard, about location to major highways. So you want to go deeper, again, keeping them in dialogue. What I've provided for you now on the screen is just a very simple buyer needs survey. And you can go online and Google these. You'll find typically multiple page buyer needs surveys, buyer questionnaires that go very detailed and to my opinion, sometimes very intrusive questions about a person's life and very intimate information. For example, their credit or their ability to qualify for a mortgage that people aren't typically comfortable sharing with strangers. So what I've put together is just a very simple, open-ended buyer needs survey. And frankly, with some buyers, even this is too much. Real estate sales is both art and science. The science are the strategies we implement, but we always have to implement them with our own personal skills, our own intuition, our own sensitivity to the person that we're talking with. And if you can tell that they're just uncomfortable, don't ask all these questions. They'll certainly not go face to face with you if they can't get comfortable with you on the phone. But for example, once you know that they're looking for 3 bedrooms, you might say, well, how old are your children? Do you have 2 boys, 2 girls, 1 of each? What are the most important features you're looking for in a new home other than 3 bedrooms? And just leave it open like that. And if they struggle, not quite sure what you mean, you can say, well, is it important to have a pool? Do you prefer a 1-story or a 2-story? Location, school district. You can prompt them just a little bit. I don't want you to quiz them on every one of these items. That's way too much. Just ask them what's most important to them. Once they answer that question, follow up with another open-ended question. Well, is there anything else that's important to you? So now you've got 3 criteria. They called about number of bedrooms. Then they said it's also important that they have a pool. And when you asked about anything else, they said they wanted to be in a certain school district. Now you can go a little bit deeper since you've built some rapport with them. They've stayed in dialogue with you, so they're already starting to trust you a bit. You can ask, are you renting currently or do you own a home? If they're a homeowner, do you need to sell your home before you buy? Is your home currently listed for sale? All kinds of information is revealed by those 2 questions. Whether or not they have a relationship with the current realtor, or whether or not you have the opportunity to double end this transaction. If they're renting, ask, when does your lease end? And even if it's some distant time, say 6 months out into the future, that doesn't mean that you need to put them into an incubation system, because there are plenty of situations, particularly with new home builders, where those leases can be bought out. So don't let that end the conversation, even if they're in a longer term lease. When do you want to be in your new home? Can you rank your motivation for me on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 meaning you need to move quickly and 1 being you're not really sure if you're going to move? After they tell you their number, is there anything that could move you to a 10? And they might say, well, yes, if my spouse's transfer is confirmed, then we'll definitely be moving. Or, yes, if we can find a home in our price range that meets all of our needs, then we would definitely go to a 10. We're just not sure it's out there. Important question here, if you're in rapport, and the art of this is working, your spidey senses are indicating it's okay to go forward, then you can ask, what is your preferred price range? Not how much can you afford, or how much have you been pre-approved for, but what is your preferred price range? There's no judgment in that whatsoever. Once they tell you their price range, they say, well, $150,000 to $175,000, then you can ask about financing this way. Will you be paying cash or financing part of the purchase? If they say they're going to be financing part of the purchase, you follow up again. Have you spoken with a lender to determine your purchasing power? Not how much have you been pre-approved for. That's a judgmental question, because nobody feels like they're making as much money as they should, and everybody feels like everybody else is doing better. So when you ask them to put a number on it, it feels like judgment. But when you say, have you spoken with a lender to determine your purchasing power, it doesn't matter what number that is, it's power. They have the ability to buy something. So it phrases what could be a very delicate question in a very positive framework. Then finally, once you've gotten as much information as you need to go to the next step, would this evening at 6 or sometime tomorrow be more convenient for you to go look at a few homes? Again, they inquired about 1, but because you have access to all homes on the market, you're going to find several others. It's very rare that a buyer will purchase the home they inquire about. That's why when you're hosting an open house, you don't just want to have flyers on that property, but on 3 or 4 comparable properties close by, same price range, similar characteristics, so that if they generally like it, but it's not a 10, you have other opportunities to show them, building the relationship and showing that you bring value to the relationship. Now, what about email and text? Back to trying to provoke a response. I'm going to strongly recommend that you have a CRM, a customer relationship management program, a database, such as LionDesk, Follow Up Boss, Top Producer, something that's more than just a database of names and contact information, more than an Excel spreadsheet, more than your Google or Apple contacts, something that actually has follow-up systems and capacities built in. For example, in LionDesk, which is the CRM that I use and teach around, you can have the lead populate directly into the CRM. In other words, you don't have to get a lead and then start inputting name and phone number and email address. As soon as you're notified that the lead's been created, it goes into your CRM, and then an auto response campaign automatically goes out. So that when you get the lead, your immediate response is to start dialing. At the same moment, your CRM is sending them a text message and an email. You are demonstrating to this buyer prospect that you truly do have a passion to help people. And that's going to be backed up in the language that you use when you do provoke a response and are able to speak with them. If you're using a CRM such as LionDesk, when the prospect responds to an email or text message, this campaign will automatically turn off because its sole purpose is to provoke a response. So if they reply to the email or respond to the text message, the campaign will stop because mission's accomplished. They responded. They're in dialogue with you. If the prospect answers the phone on the first, second, or third call, then you want to manually turn off the campaign because the messaging and the texts and the emails that go out and will continue to go out frequently are all about provoking a response. And it'd be very inappropriate to do that after they have already responded. So here's my recommendation on what that follow-up program looks like. I'm going to recommend 10 days of pain, and that's an expression that's been around in the real estate industry for many years. It's painful for you, it's painful for the prospect, but again, we're attempting to provoke a response. So what does that look like? Through your CRM, 3 texts and 3 emails go out each day for the first 3 days. So they're going to be spaced throughout the day appropriately, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, one in the evening. Text and email, text and email, text and email. Then 1 text and 1 email each day for the next 7 days. So that takes in the 10 days that they're getting this barrage of texts and emails. I'm also going to recommend that you set them up, if you're in the Houston area, in HAR or in your local MLS, for an auto email search. Even though you may not know a lot about what they're looking for, based upon the information you got, the property they inquired about, go ahead and set them up on a search to be automatically notified whenever similar properties come on the market, and set it up for the longest time period possible. In our local market, that's 180 days. So now for 6 months, they're going to be receiving automatic emails from the MLS with information that should be relevant and attractive to them. And then finally, I'm going to say you want to tag them in your CRM as an SOI, or sphere of influence, because I teach a sphere of influence strategy that includes a monthly email newsletter and mass text messages that go out 4 times a year. So once you tag them as a CRM, tag them in the CRM as a sphere of influence, they're going to automatically get that monthly newsletter and 4 text messages a year perpetually, forever. And that's one of the beauties of this business, honestly. There's momentum in real estate sales. It just gets better year after year after year. I've always said and observed and taught and experienced, whatever you do in production-wise your first year, you can double your second year. Whatever you do your second year, you can double your third year, and then continue to grow from there. Why is that? One reason is we accumulate, if we are proactive lead generators, we have our third parties proactively lead generating for us, a massive amount of leads over time. Hundreds within a year, or very easily thousands within a year. And if you put people into a system like this, it costs nothing to send them an email or a text message through a CRM. It doesn't matter if the conversion rates on these old leads are infinitesimally small, because you have such a large volume of them. Even if the conversion rate is microscopic, it's still going to turn into a number of transactions every year. And then because your lead count grows, more and more transactions every year that goes by. That's why, well, speed to lead, that's the most important message of this. But if there's a second message I want you to take away, is you've got to have a CRM. And you've got to get all your leads in there. And you have to set them up on recurring outreaches, monthly email newsletter, for example, mass text messages, so that once they're in your world, they never escape. Even if they leave the area, they move to Pittsburgh or move to Indonesia, in this world, email goes all around the world. So you are still going to stay in touch with them. And guess what? Sometimes they come back. Sometimes they're with a company that sent them away and it brings them back. So you want to stay in touch forever. That's why we follow up the 10 days of pain with a perpetual drip. Your highest conversion is going to happen in that first minute on the phone. But if they resist all of your efforts to provoke a response, don't give up. I closed on a home in January of this year, just a few months ago, that I literally had a third-party company generate for me 4 years ago. It took 4 years to turn that lead into a transaction, but it cost me nothing to stay in touch over those 4 years because I simply put them into my CRM and dripped on them the whole 4 years, so that 3.5 years later, they called me and said, "Frank, we're ready." And I was able to get that home on the market and get it sold. So these 3 strategies, all put together, give you the best opportunity to, 1, provoke a response, and 2, get face-to-face. Why do we care about that? Because that's what gets us to the closing table, and that's what funds the life of your dreams. If you hang around me very long, you're going to discover my great passion for the real estate industry, because I know it's possible through real estate sales to fund any life you can imagine. That's not the reality for most real estate agents. But the reason is they've not adopted productive beliefs like we have taught in this class. And therefore, they are unable to sustain productive activity over time like we've taught in this class. So work on your mind, and then let your mind drive productive behavior. And every dream that you had in your heart when you got into this business can come to pass. Well, there we go. That's all, folks. I really appreciate you joining me for this class, Online Buyer Conversion. My name is Frank Gray. Anytime I can help you, please reach out. That's what I do. I help agents achieve at any level of aspiration. Take care.